Hello and welcome to Freedomstein Laboratory. It happens to be Thanksgiving in America today, so happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Lots of things that I wanted to cover today. Obviously, first up, we want to talk about the National Guardsmen that were shot in Washington, D.C. Candace Owens has updated us on the Egyptian situation, and it seems that they were staying in a hotel near where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. We also have this leaked transcript between Steve Witkoff and a Russian envoy as they were talking about a peace agreement, and there's some coaching going on. The left is losing their mind over this. And then there are those of us who believe that Russia should get what they want to get out of this and let's shut down everything with Ukraine. I am not on Ukraine's side. I think Ukraine is a place that they're laundering a bunch of money through, and this has been just a way to keep the war machine going on. Russia, to me, just seems like they've taken back some land that was already theirs. And this is how this kind of stuff works throughout history. I don't know why it seems like it's supposed to be different now that we're in the 2000s, that this isn't how the world has functioned through centuries and centuries of warfare. It's just how it goes. And we don't need to be the police of the world. So I think everybody should be happy that we're even trying to get a peace agreement here. And then I had one more thing I wanted to get into. Oh, I didn't talk on the last episode. It was one of the things that was a point I wanted to make, and then I completely forgot to make it. I was talking about how the GOP seems like it's being pulled back by the neocons to take over MAGA. And then I was talking about Tim Pool, and there's something about that that kind of connects together. So we'll get into that in just a minute. First up, we do want to get into the Candace Owens thing here that she has posted up on X. So let me go there and share that really quickly here. So this was major breaking news from her. And does it say when she posted this? This was yesterday at 11:30 a.m. Someone directly involved in the booking process has confirmed to me that our Egyptians, quote unquote, who flew into Provo ahead of Charlie Kirk's assassination were staying at the La Quinta Inn and Suites in Orem, Utah, specifically the University Parkway location. Remember, our Egyptians flew in on September 4th and stayed through September 13th. We are now looking for footage of these individuals. If you own a store nearby and can check cameras, or perhaps you work at La Quinta and you remember something odd, someone in Utah may hold the key to solving this. And then she wanted people to email more tips at CandaceOwens.com. I mean, if she's got receipts on this, holy cow. They were staying in a, medium level hotel, something that wouldn't be really noticed. That's where the common people like us stay. Although I think that the front desk person would notice if you had a bunch of Egyptian people coming in and getting a room together, or maybe they got multiple rooms. But what in the world were they there for? Was there an Egyptian convention? Were they bringing over artifacts from Egypt? I mean, what exactly did we have going on there? So just some more stuff coming down from Candace, even though they keep laughing at her and she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's like, come on, guys, get real. All right. The next thing I want to jump into is talking about these servicemen, the guardsmen who got shot in Washington, D.C. This is just horrible. And we have an update on that. And one of the things that I heard is that they'd just been sworn in, not even 24 hours before this happened.
Both Sarah and Andrew, I believe, were sworn in less than 24 hours before they were shot on the street in Washington. Any questions?
And it has come out that this was an Afghan national who supposedly had worked with us over in Afghanistan, and he came in over when Mayorkas and Biden just had our borders wide open. They just brought them all over, didn't even bother to check any of them out, make sure that they were safe. And I think how many did it say how many had been brought over in that? I'm not sure. But they did make it through surgery and are with their families in the hospital. So that is so good to hear. Very miraculous that neither one of them were killed. This happened yesterday afternoon around 2:15 p.m. near 17th and I Streets Northwest, close to federal sites. The suspect, a 29-year-old Afghan national, Ramanullah Lakanwal, who entered the U.S. in 2021 and received asylum this year, great, drove cross-country before the targeted attack. So he specifically was going to Washington, D.C. to do this. And I wonder what his main attack was. Was it just for the Guardsmen? Or he couldn't get to what he wanted to get to, so that's what he did. President Trump condemned it, deployed more Guard troops, and U.S. CIS paused Afghan immigration requests. I would hope so. Leaders from both parties offered prayers for the young Guardsmen's full recovery. And it does look like they're going to be on the road to recovery. But this is what happens when you just blindly let people come in and you don't bother to, check out their status. And just because they say this. And what's interesting about this is that literally this morning, I was watching some TikTok videos, and the one video that I came across, it was this guy who said that he had worked with our soldiers over in, I don't know if he said it was in Iraq or Afghanistan, but anyway, he supposedly had worked with us over there, and he was upset about the way he was treated here, and we're racist and all this stuff. He'd gotten pulled over for just a regular traffic stop, I think, and it ended up becoming a shootout. And I literally just watched that going, maybe we shouldn't be letting these people in just because they helped us over there, and then that happened. All right. Well, the next story that we've got that is just blowing the lid off of X, and the liberals are losing their minds about this, is that Steve Witkoff had this talk with Yuri Ushakov, I think is how you say his last name. It was a Russian envoy. They're talking about the peace process that they're working on here. This is from Medusa, and it says that Witkoff coached the Kremlin on how to speak with Trump. Number one, why is that an issue? If you are trying to work on a deal and you're the person that's the go-between, shouldn't you be coaching both sides about how to do this? So he told Yushakov to tell Putin to congratulate Trump on achieving a peace agreement between Israel and Hamas, which I think Putin would have already done that. He also suggested that Putin express his respect for Trump as a man of peace and convey Moscow's support for the Gaza settlement. Witkoff then shared with Uzakov the idea that an agreement based on the same model, could be developed to resolve the Russian-Ukrainian war. He recommended that Putin tell Trump, Steve and Yuri discussed a very similar 20-point plan to peace, and that could be something that we think might move the needle a little bit. We're open to these sorts of things to explore what it's going to take to get a peace deal done. So basically, just let them know you're willing. I don't see any problems here. Witkoff acknowledged that the negotiations between Moscow and Kiev still face disagreements about control over the entire Donetsk region and maybe a land swap somewhere, but he urged a more hopeful dialogue going forward. I'm still not seeing where we have an issue here. At the end of the call, Witkoff proposed a phone call directly with Putin before Vladimir Zelensky's upcoming visit to the White House, which I'm sure Putin would have already known that Zelensky was going to go and speak at the White House, speak with the president at the White House. They weren't telling him anything he didn't know. 2 days later, Trump and Putin did speak on the phone, a conversation that reportedly influenced the U.S. president's decision to abandon plans to supply Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, according to the Wall Street Journal. And let me just say that I agree with that. Did we want to escalate what was happening here between Ukraine and Russia? No. If we put Tomahawk missiles in Ukraine, Russia is going to take that as an act of war from us. That would have been stupid. The fact that President Trump was even considering this when he knows that MAGA is against expanding any wars, getting involved in any wars, do we really want to be at war with Russia? No. I lived through the Cold War. I don't need to go back there and do that again. So why would we even entertain that? Frankly, I have no issue with any of this. The only issue I do have is why this was leaked publicly. And guess what? The Russians are really mad about this as well. And this came out through Bloomberg. And let me go ahead and share this with you. This is Reuters reporting it, but Bloomberg are the ones who actually leaked the transcript. Bloomberg said it had reviewed the recording, but did not say how it got access to a highly sensitive conversation between top officials of the world's two largest nuclear powers. Ushakov said that his conversations with Witkoff were not intended for publication and they should not have been leaked. This is unacceptable, Ushakov told Russian media. He said the leak was clearly aimed at hindering discussions between Russia and the United States. And isn't it interesting that this came out right as they were finally possibly going to seal a final deal here? So it's almost like they took this off the track, which leads me into my final thing that I wanted to cover today. And that is these neocons that want war to continue and they want to keep the GOP. They were anti-Trump. And now that Trump is getting a little bit more war hockey, now they're like, oh, Trump is okay. We do like him. As long as he's supporting all of this stuff and putting money out to the war machine, we're cool with it. So I don't know where this leak came from, but I don't trust our side on it either. If it was some of these neocons leaking something, who knows? Now, when it comes to Tim Pool, I was talking yesterday about how they were laughing at Candace about being threatened and everything. Well, also in that same episode, he did acknowledge the fact that he had been disinvited to a TPUSA event. And here's the key thing that I took from that, because they were like, well, is it something that you said? Is it something that you did? It's not like he's coming out as anti-Israel or anything like that. I mean, Tim Pool is pretty middle of the road as far as I'm concerned. He tries to like play both sides and stay in the middle, which, I wish he would just kind of stick to whatever he actually believes in. But anyhow, at least for the last 3 years, maybe it was the last 4 years, but I know it was definitely the last 3 years, Charlie Kirk had invited Tim Pool, his whole crew, everybody to come out there. They would do their show live from there. They would telecast through the whole week. The minute Charlie Kirk is gone, Tim Pool is disinvited. And Tim Pool is definitely anti-war for sure. But do you see a correlation here? We're like disinviting people. I'm wondering when Tucker Carlson is going to be going. And of course, they're never going to invite Candace to come and speak ever again. This to me almost shows that we have a sign that TPUSA wants to go the way of the neocons, maybe. We'll see. But as you know, I've got a really critical eye looking over at TPUSA. I trust Erica Kirk, but I don't know that she knows everything that's going on, even though she did say she knows everything. And in the back of my mind, I'm kind of hoping that she's the one that's leaking everything to Candace Owens, because somebody is giving her information from inside. And she clearly was friends with many people there because she was a part of the organization for years. And it's still been going on talks and events and things through 2024. This year's the only year that she hasn't really been involved with them. So of course she had friends there that might be telling her things. And I'm actually hoping it's Erica who's seeing a lot of this stuff and leaking it out. But I am really worried about the direction that TPUSA is going to go. Tim Pool actually thinks that they're not going to survive without Charlie, which is a possibility. Most organizations, if you lose like your heart and soul and what it was built around, you are going to falter, although they were trying to build it on something else. And I definitely think Charlie, because he almost had this premonition that he was going to be gone, was kind of trying to guide it into that path. But again, if the neocons think that they're going to take back the GOP, then you might as well just plan on losing forever and ever. And maybe that's the way they want it. Because apparently the Democrats have no problem continuing on with war either, because they certainly don't try to stop it either. So it just feels like the war machine, the military industrial complex, is controlling everything. And they're letting us know we're still in control. You might have gotten some of your people in here, but we're still in control. Just like we watch the intelligence and I'm like, is it just Cash Patel and Dan Bongino that they're trying, but they can't get ahead? Did they get sucked in and are part of it? I don't know, but it just feels like everything is the same as it's always been, same as it ever was, and it's just going to continue that way. But one thing I am thankful for is that I do live in the greatest country in America, and I hope we can hold on to it. I'm grateful for God, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I hope that you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving and eat yourselves silly and watch some football and just enjoy family. And definitely don't talk about the things that I talked about today. No politics or religion at the table, unless you want to have a throwdown or some really good fun, which I'm all for. Happy Thanksgiving.